Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Eric McKinley, Director of Program Development of National Business Builders. And tonight, that's right, tonight, as always, this is Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking about finances with NBB and our panel. So, guys, do me a favor as you jump on, drop your city and your state, like it, share it, tag somebody. Excuse me. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Okay, let me know where you're tuning in from as I share this information with a couple of groups and tag a couple of people. So thanks once again. It is Friday. Who all is happy that it's Friday out there? I know I am. I've been working hard all week and it's time to take a break. I know. Check it out, man. So let me see if I can actually share this information with some people. Tag some folks. See who wants to see this information, man. I know I just went live, man. I was actually sharing some information about a promo that I got going on. So I wanted to make sure that that information got out. Hopefully you guys had a productive day today. If you had a productive day. All right, second. All right. Just about to get started. We are live and direct, man. We are live and direct. Just less than 1 minute. Hey, Miss Bertha, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I am better than amazing. We got Miss Bertha Winston hopping on from the DMV area. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate you. And we are about to get hot. Less than a minute. Less than a minute. All right. Sharing with a couple of people, y'all. Give me a second. Get this thing hot and going. All right, Miss Bertha, I'm almost ready.
All right.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't know about you, man. This thing right here, man. This thing's got me on fire.
I know.
Well, I just went live just now, man. I did a challenge on top of what we talked about. I'm doing a 20 to stay. Okay. 10 to win, but 20 to stay. So I want everybody to
I like that.
Hit me up with a 20 to stay. I don't want people to just win for right now. I want them to stay, right? So they can get this information. We got Mr. June Collier on out of Atlanta, Georgia.
What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing?
Hey, Mr. June.
Mr. Better Than Amazing himself.
The man himself.
All right. It's 8:01, y'all. Listen, we about to get this thing started. I was sharing this with a couple of groups. Give me 1 second. I just tagged y'all. That was probably what you heard. Let me share with a couple more groups because I want individuals in these groups around my community. I want them to see what it is that they're missing. I want them to see so they can make an informed decision. Because there's a lot of people that are getting information that may not be the correct information. So we want them to make sure they're able to make a great decision. We got Miss Helen Kemp out of Fort Washington, Maryland, just jumped on. She was on my live a little while ago too. Thank you, Miss Helen. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I got one more group to share with, and then we're gonna go ahead. Actually, 2 more groups. So we got our private group, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Hope y'all had a fantastic, amazing, better than amazing, productive day. I got to go back and look at my coach's information on the training that I missed last night because I was doing some training myself. But hey, thank goodness for live with a lifetime access. You know, thank goodness for lifetime access, man. Listen, that's the best warranty I ever bought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the best warranty I ever bought, man. So okay, so we're gonna get started. Once again, my name is Eric McKinley. I'm the Director of Program Development of National Business Builders. We got Miss Bertha Winston out of the DMV area on. We got Mr. June Collier out of Atlanta, Georgia on. Guys, we are fun-filled, packed with information that is going to put you in the right space, okay, the right space. Now, what space am I talking about? Well, we talk about financial education, right? And it's not enough just to have financial education. You have to have information, the correct information, so you can apply it properly. You can properly apply it to your lives. Oftentimes we get information and it's misinformation. It's missing information. We make decisions based off of what we know or almost what we think we know. And when we do that, we often make the decisions that are going to affect us for a lifetime, y'all. A lifetime. Miss Bertha, you trying to come in again?
No, I was trying to share to some people. That's all.
Okay, no, I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Yeah,
So
that's all.
what we're gonna do is we've been talking about credit education, okay, and it's a challenge. It's literally a challenge. We're challenging you to become educated with your credit. We're talking about credit education for the last three sessions, okay. And just a quick recap: the first thing we talked about was mindset, a mindset shift, okay. In order to educate yourself on your credit and put yourself in a position to be able to repair it, build it, and maintain it, you got to be ready to learn about it. You got to ask yourself, hey, how did I get in this situation in the first place? It didn't happen overnight. And please, please don't let anybody tell you or lead you to believe that getting out of that situation is going to happen overnight. It won't happen. But what I will promise you this is if you stick with it, one night you're going to wake up, one night you're going to go to bed, and the next morning you're going to wake up and things are going to be better. You just got to stick with it. So we talked about mindset. The second day we talked about payment history. Payment history accounts for 35% of your credit score. It's 192.5 max points, and that is what most people focus on, the payment history. It is the most impactful as far as points go, but it ain't the most important. A lot of people like to think that it is, but I found out the hard way that it ain't the most important. And being a little transparent, I carried a high 500, low 600 credit score for a long time. And I don't know how y'all feel about going to the airport and carrying all that luggage, but I had a lot of weight I was carrying and didn't even know why my back was hurting. Needless to say, once I was introduced to a better way, I was able to do better. I had to make a choice to be able to do better. So talked about payment history, and like I said, it counts 35% is 192.5 max points. The thing about payment history is that you cannot control 100% of your payment history, especially if you start off in the negative, in the dumps. If you start off making bad or poor decisions, you can't control that. But some third-party credit repair agencies and credit repair specialists will convince you otherwise. Not here to step on any toes. I'm just here to expose some things that we may or may not know. Wednesday, the third night, we talked about credit utilization. Credit utilization is basically your debt to income ratio on your revolving. Basically, we're talking about your revolving debt. And credit utilization is the second factor, and it makes up 30% of your credit score. Okay, 30%, that's 165 points. Now, that is the most important, and it is the most impactful that you can actually control. I want you to think about this. These words, important and impactful, you can control 100% of how much debt you're in. I'm going to say that again in case somebody missed it. You can control 100% of how much debt you're in. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's something else. That's your mindset shift. But once you understand how to manage your debt, you'll be able to then learn and understand how important it is to actually eliminate it, okay, or at least get it to a great manageable spot. Well, man, third-party credit repair agencies ain't gonna really tell you how to eliminate your debt. They're really not. As a matter of fact, there are some strategies that we use to show people how to eliminate their debt. And there's this one specific strategy that's called income shifting. And it's not a hard strategy to use. It's something that anyone can use if you're willing to take notice of your situation. You want to increase your cash flow, not just your income, but your cash flow, so you can expedite getting that debt down. And we talked about, the debt snowball, and you needing more money, available money to actually be able to pay that debt off. I want everyone to understand, and we went into debt real deep, Miss Bertha, didn't we? We went deep. Listen, you cannot get out of debt with the same habits and the same money that got you into debt.
That's right.
For those who not understanding what I'm saying, if you're bringing home, let's say you bringing home $50,000 after taxes, 50 grand you bring home after taxes. There's some debt in there. There's some bills and some expenses in there. That debt already exists. You are not going to be able to expedite yourself getting out of debt with that same cash coming in. You're going to have to increase your cash flow. You're going to have to minimize your expenses. You're going to have to eliminate some debt, lower some taxes. You're going to have to go out and maybe walk some dogs, babysit some kids. I don't know, man. Somebody's going to listen to me in a little while, but it's not going to happen. It will happen eventually, okay? But how much time do you have? Did you know eventually was on the timeline? Eventually is on the timeline. And that's not a good timeline, especially if you're hitting 50 like I'm about to hit 50 next year. I'm on the other side I'm running out of time, you know? So we got to do things to expedite. And if you're out there listening, you're out there looking, you happen to see this, we like to have fun. Of course, I love to have fun. I'm a very animated guy, but I also like to educate. And I want you to understand the importance of what we're talking about and why we need to understand where we are. So if you're just jumping on, I want you to go ahead and drop your city and state. I want you to go ahead and like it and share it. And I'm going to go ahead and share my timeline. We got Miss Vanessa Stingleton coming on. I think she's out of Maryland, man. But let me go ahead and share. Miss Lillis Lumpkins is on from St. Louis. Y'all, listen, we're about to get this thing started. This is a challenge, and I challenge everyone to become educated. I challenge everyone to become educated. Miss Valerie Norfolk's on from St. Louis as well. Let me go ahead and turn my phone on. I'm cheating. I still haven't gotten that second screen yet. I'm in the office, as you can see. I'm absolutely super excited about what's going on in my life since I've launched this information and applied it to my life. Let me share my let me get my stuff together. I'm excited, man. I am. And you listen, I hope my excitement bleeds over to somebody else. I really do. Because I was sitting at a point to where I was overworked, underpaid, overdebted, overdebted. Debt is a debt and taxes and all that stuff, man. They go hand in hand. Got Miss Cortina Trafford out of Huntsville. I was overwhelmed. And I don't believe in doing things to hurt ourselves, but I can kind of understand why people would hurt themselves because it gets overwhelming. It's stressful. And it's a huge responsibility, especially if you're an adult who has someone to take care of. That's why we're really trying to, get you educated in this information. So let me go ahead and get started. I said enough. Let me get started. Excuse me. So for those of you who seeing this, you might think, hey, this guy's got some nice information, some nice content, some nice information, some nice slides. Well, I repurposed this information, but that doesn't make it any less important, okay? I repurposed the information. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you. Repurposed the information, and I did my own little twist to the slides and put a little my spin and flavor on it, but the information is still the same. So I want y'all to understand something. We're talking about credit history. Credit history, y'all. That's going to be one of the hardest things to get if you don't have it. It's the length of your credit, the length or the age of your credit. The length of the age of your credit. And I'm just remembering some of the conversations that we had when we talked about, hey, if you can't pay your bills, if you can't pay your debt, then, and you decide that you need to stop paying some things, then you want to make sure if you got a credit card that has a good long history, that you hold on to that thing. You want to hold on to that thing. But anyways, the longer the history, generally, the better the score. History is hard to get, y'all. It is hard to get if you don't use what I'm going to share with you, okay? And then you got accounts with positive payment history, have no delinquencies. The ones that have no delinquencies, they're the best ones. Bottom line is, I showed you a score that had a lot of red stuff on it, okay? A lot of yellow and red. If you got greens, that's the best score. Miss Bertha, you want to share something about credit history? You in a position?
Yeah. Yeah. Credit history, like you said, account for 15% of your score. And the credit history is your length of time. If you have a credit card and you had it for a long time, you want to keep that history because it helps toward if you want to buy something, they'll look at your history and that way they see that you've been with that company for a long time. So especially if you're a certain age, like if you've gotten credit cards and you haven't closed them out, you want to keep those credit cards for a long time because that history is key for you when they look at your credit score. And also, you don't want to close out no credit cards. You want to keep them because that's why the history is so important. So you don't want the company to close out your credit card either, especially if you have 15 or 20 years of credit history. That plays a big part on your history. So you wanna hold on to that.
All right, I like that. That was some great nuggets. I hope somebody's taking some notes. Anybody who is struggling right now, who may be struggling with making the decision what they're gonna pay, if they're gonna pay anything at all, you definitely want to try to keep that history. It'll make it easier to build and repair your credit. Mr. Carl, you got something you want to add to that credit history?
Yeah, here's the thing with credit history. Like you said, sometimes we get in a situation where we can't pay all of our bills. And when you understand how credit works, you understand which bills that you don't pay if you can't pay your bills. So if you've got a credit card that you had for a long time, that credit card has credit history. You try to at least keep one of those cards that you keep current and that you make sure that you don't miss any payments so that you do have that credit history. The other thing that I think is important is as we're rebuilding credit, you want to get yourself a couple of cards. And these might be cards that you don't necessarily use a lot, but these are cards that will give you that credit history because time is going to come. So if you have zero credit history, get your card right now so that 5 years, 6 years, 7 years from now, you got that card, you got some credit history. You want to keep that card clean. So sometimes you want to get a card that you just use for credit history, right? You take that card and go get some bubble gum on it and then pay it off and just, keep the card active, but don't really do anything on that card so that you don't really mess it up. And that card is going to give you some good credit history. So that's really kind of thinking forward into the future and thinking in advance.
I like that. You said get a card, get some cards. And even if you're not gonna use those cards to run them up. Of course, you don't want to run any of them up, but use it periodically. Get you make a charge on it, something that you can pay off, a low balance that you can pay off the very next month, or before the next billing cycle, so you can actually control that and get that history. That's important. I like that because there's a lot of people that even go back to repairing their credit, right? And they get these cards, whether it be a secure credit card, and we're going to talk about that next week, or whether they get a card that is unsecured, whatever the case, and they end up running that one up too. They just run up all the cards, and I don't think they're running them up they're not running these cards up or maxing these cards out all the time because they have to. A lot of it is the lack of education about credit and how it works, and lack of discipline.
Yeah, I would like to add one other thing too. I had a couple of cards that, I didn't know this education at that time. I had a couple of cards that I didn't put any credit on. I think they give you about a year. If you don't use that card within a year, the company will close your card out. And when that happens, your score drops. So that was education that I got. I didn't know at that time that would happen. So I had a couple of cards. They weren't long history cards, so thank God for that. But they closed, and then I noticed my score dropped some points. So you want to be careful of that. If you have a new card and you don't use it, the company will close it within a year. So as June was saying, you definitely want to put some bubble gum or candy or something, or some gas or something on it, so they won't close it because that history is very, very important. So, you know, I wanted to share that as well.
No, thank you for that, because you know what you're saying is, when you get approved for that credit, let's say you get approved for an extra $5,000 card, where your credit limit is just gone up, and if you already have credit being used, your debt to income is already being used, as we talked about Wednesday night, and you lose that 5,000, then guess what happens? Your debt to income gets bigger. Your ratio it gets worse. Instead of having a ratio of 10% utilization, you may have a ratio of 40% utilization. And that happens, and we don't even know it. And I know it happened to us a couple of times. We call ourselves trying to, you know, use some discipline, excuse me, and ended up losing some available credit. So we got back on the phone and called and said, hey, we're still here. You know, we even forgot we had the card. So we just, you know, called them back and they were able to fix it. But not all the time they're going to do that. So that's good info. I like that.
That's true. Yeah.
So check it out. We're going to talk about the whole score. The whole score now. We're talking about the lowest your credit score, your FICO score, is going to be is 300. The highest your FICO score can be is 850. That means you got 550 available points to actually grow to that 850. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get all 550 points, but I just told you that payment history is 192.5 points plus the 300. Then you got your credit utilization is 165 points. Add that. And then you have your credit history, which is 15%, which is 82.5 points. So you want to get as high as you can in each section.
Mm-hmm.
Want to get as high as you can in each section, not just for your score, but for your report as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they look at different things, okay?
Yeah.
Look at different things. Once again, if you don't have any credit history, this can be the hardest thing to come by if you don't take a close look at these strategies. If you're out there looking and you're saying, hey, I don't have any credit history. I just filed a bankruptcy, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any credit history. I'm a newly credit builder and I don't have any credit history. Here's some things that you can think about doing, okay? We're going to talk about them. So here's the breakdown of what FICO looks at. It looks at how long the accounts have been open. Now, if your account has been open for a very long time, like you said, those are the ones that you really want to take care of and pay attention to. Those young accounts, those new accounts, if you got to let them go, let them go.
Yeah.
But the older ones, you want to make sure you keep. How long the specific account types have been open. Okay, how long the account types have been open, how long specific account types have been open, and then how long it's been since they were used. Like Miss Bertha just said, hey, she paid off everything, but then she wasn't using it. And you know what? If you're not using your credit cards, even though you have been approved, I found out they don't look at you as a risk, as a good risk. They look at you as a bad risk.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at it as, hey, they're not using their credit. They may not have a job. They may you know, they're looking at, hey, they want to make sure that they keep you in the rotation.
Yeah.
Because to them, you are money.
Yeah.
You're money.
Yeah.
You want to add something on that one, Ms. Bertha?
That was pretty well put. Yeah, that was good. You wanna, you gotta have some credit. You said something the other night. You gotta have credit.
Yeah, the 850 ain't gonna pop up. There's people out there chasing 850.
You need some credit because sometimes you go out to buy something, they say, well, you don't have no credit. So not having no credit is just the worst as having too much credit.
I know some people that went to go buy vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not your story, June, but I know some people that went to go buy some vehicles and they hadn't used things in so long. They had no activity.
Mm-hmm.
They had no activity, and because they had no activity,
yeah,
they were considered a risk.
Right.
I don't know really how that works, but you got something you want to add to that, June?
Yeah, I got something, man. This is real good because there's a certain popular guy out there that teaches you to become totally debt free. Don't get no credit cards. This is what he teaches you. Don't get any credit cards and get out of debt. And you know, when you look at the big picture, that's fine. I mean, that's great. You don't want to be in a lot of debt. But if you have no credit cards and you have no debt and you have no activity at all as it relates to credit, then what's going to happen is it's going to start to work against you. And so everything is within balance. We have to do everything within balance. So getting out of debt is very, very good. That's a good thing. But having a credit card and using that credit card and paying that credit card off, that's developing a money habit. So when you hear someone telling you you don't need a credit card, the credit card is the devil, then what he's really telling you is you don't have any discipline. You can't handle credit. And the fact that he's telling you that you can't handle credit, that's exactly what your creditors are looking at when you don't have any. You can't handle it. So be careful of how you take that advice and where that advice comes from. Again, very popular guy. Many of you probably know who I'm talking about, but make sure that you understand the credit game, because credit plays an important role in your life.
Hey, you know, you hit the nail on the head, because you said they're saying the creditors are looking at, well, you can't handle it. You can't handle the truth. And this guy or this person's or so there's other people that are saying the same thing. Go cash, right? What they're not saying is you can't come to them and have them co-sign. I see a lot of people talking about they're just going to use cash. A lot of people talk about, I don't have credit cards, I just use cash. Did you buy your house with cash?
Hey, Eric.
Yep.
You made me think of something. That same gentleman that I talk about, he got books and tapes, and he got a course. And when you buy his books and tapes, guess what he has on his website?
Access to buy with a credit card.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you believe that people shouldn't have a credit card, why are you taking credit cards on your website?
Yeah, where's the cash option at? Where's the cash option at? You know,
wow.
Yeah, and you gotta once again, something that you said, hey, listen, question everything. Question everything. In a perfect world, we would not want to have to owe anybody.
Right.
But there's a such thing as good debt. Mm-hmm. And instead of us staying away from certain things, we have to learn how to discipline ourselves to those things.
Yeah, you're right.
Some things it's gonna make life easier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot of people who's got $200,000 just sitting around to go and purchase a home. Cash money. But with the interest rates as they are right now, why would I not want to leverage somebody else's money?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going to take my cash. I'm not going to take $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in cash flow to go and put something down on something for cash just to say that I own it.
Mm-hmm.
That's ludicrous. But that's another conversation.
Let me say something else, Eric, on this, because I have credit cards and I don't carry any credit card debt. However, I pay for everything with my credit card. So there's nothing wrong with having a credit card and using it as a tool. And then at the end of the month, or for me, every Friday, I pay my credit card off. Okay, so it's still like me paying for it cash, but I run the money through my credit. Now, because my credit card gives me 2% cash back, I actually get paid to use my credit card. That requires discipline, but it's also a form of income shifting. I'm shifting my money around. The credit card is going to give me 2% for using it, and then I'm paying it off every week. So I never have any interest that I'm charged for using that credit card, and I'm keeping that credit card active so they don't cancel me because of inactive use on the credit card. It's all about strategy. And
that's good. That's
and also, June, you could use that 2% when it accumulates to apply to your credit card. That's a good thing too, you know. So I like that. I have one or two that way. And then sometime I'll just call them and ask them how much, you know, because, you know, what they say, 150 points ain't a whole lot, really. You think it's some money. But, you know, when you accumulate enough, you could ask them to apply it to your credit card. And that's money that you didn't have to pay out of your pocket.
And I mean, like you said, that's income shifting. You're using what they're giving you access to wisely, and you're flipping it back on them. They're hoping that you don't understand that concept. They're hoping that you run this thing up.
And another thing is, I have an account with Wells Fargo, and every time I swipe my card, they put $1 in my account.
Oh yeah.
So that's income shifting too. So, you know, sometimes I have up to $100 because I'm like June, I don't use a lot of cash because I know they're going to put $1 in my account. I'm going to use that card, you know? So, you know, you need to check into those things. There's so many ways that you could get money, like June been telling us. You got it out there. You just got to find out where it is.
So many ways out there.
And use it.
And we got to keep an open mind. We got some I think her name, I don't want to mess your name up, Miss Swinette Roberts is on, and we got a Miss Angela Evans on. Miss Angela Evans, I'm gonna see if you want to answer this one, June. Miss Angela Evans asks, is it a good idea to pay an account in the whole amount or pay half to get it off your credit report? And will your score increase? Okay, I think what she's saying, if you have an account, and she can come back in and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have an account, let's say your account is $2,000. I think that's exactly what she's saying. Let's say you got an account, credit card that's $2,000 and it's maxed out, or it's a $2,000 balance. Is it a good idea to pay $1,000, or is it a good idea to pay the whole amount so your credit score can increase? What's your take on that one?
You need to unmute, June.
Yeah, okay. So really what you want to do, you know, we've talked about credit utilization in the past. Credit utilization is that you want to have your utilization in the single digits if you possibly can. You know, 8% or less is just great. So if you got a $2,000 credit card and you paid off half of it, and your utilization or the limit on that credit card is $2,000, well, you're still at a 50% utilization ratio. So I would say to pay the credit card down and pay it off. That's going to bring your utilization ratio down significantly, bring it down to 0. And then a lot of people will tell you, well, if you pay the card off, then you're not going to get it's going to make your score go down. It doesn't work that way. Pay the card off. Now your utilization is 0 on that card. People say, well, you got to have some utilization. I'm here to tell you that having utilization and not having utilization and having a credit card where you don't have anything on it, you're going to have a better score by doing it that way. And then use the credit card like I talked about. Never put anything on the credit card that you can't pay off. That's the thing that got you in trouble in the first place. So like me, I used the credit card. I used the credit card just a few moments ago. We went out and got something to eat. I put it on the credit card. Well, when the credit bureaus check your credit card or the credit card reports to the credit bureaus, if they report to the credit bureaus today, it's going to show that I got some debt with that credit card. And then on next Friday, I pay the credit card off. I'm back down to 0, but then I go use it for some gas. So I'm constantly going in and out with my credit card, going from 0 to whatever I'm going to. And the reality is that because I'm making these payments and I'm paying off the card, running it up, paying off the card, running it up. It's showing that I can manage credit. That's what it's showing. I'm managing credit very, very well if I'm using the card all day, all month long. You know, I might put $8,000, $10,000 on the card for the month, and I'm using it back and forth, but I'm always paying on time. It ain't never late. So it shows that I can manage and handle credit.
And just to add to, not to take away from, definitely. Okay, she says I'm go ahead and answer your question. She says she has an amount of $630 on the report, and she wants to know if she should pay the full amount or pay half. The utilization is at 9% right now. I have one credit. I have a Credit One account, and I paid 75. I have used. So check it out. Let me say this right now today, because everybody's situation is different. Right now today, it may not be a good idea to pay it off. And the reason why I say this, June, is this. We're in a position right now where a lot of people need cash flow. If that is not you and it's not going to hurt you as far as your cash flow, then by all means, go ahead and pay it off. You got to ask yourself, are you looking to get that $630 off your account, off your report, so your credit score can go up and your utilization can go down? What are you trying to keep from paying interest? My thing is I don't want to pay any more interest. That's my thing. I don't want to give them any more money than I have to. So you have to ask yourself that. Also, once again, $630 for a lot of people is a lot of money at one time. So you got to ask yourself this, and I don't know your financial situation, but if is $630 going to hurt you? Do you see that hurting you in the foreseeable future? Gas right now is running about $3 a gallon in some places, $3.50 some places. I don't know how long that's going to be. So you don't want to put yourself in a bind trying to get a certain score is what I'm saying. There's other things that you can do. There's other things that you can do to increase your score, your credit score. And it can be done wisely. If you're at a 9% right now and it's not hurting you, hey, you golden. Because a lot of people that are not at 99%. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Did that make sense to anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. It really depends on the individual and what you're doing. So like you said, if your credit utilization across the board is 9%. Now notice I said across the board. If it's 9% across the board on everything that you have, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
So the question is, you're asking me, should I pay it in full or should I pay half of it? Well, the question I would ask you is, do you have a emergency fund? Is it fully funded? So I want to find out some other things about your finances before I give you that particular answer. Do you have other credit cards that are not at 9% credit utilization? So here's the funny thing about finances. There's no blanket answer that covers everybody. Everybody's situation is totally different. So we would have to really take a look and have that discussion about your credit. Do you have other debt? What interest rates is that other debt at? Do you have an emergency fund? How much do you have in that emergency fund? All of those would be questions to answer to determine whether or not you should pay the whole $630 or pay half of it.
And to address your last statement, Ms. Evans, it's been on your report since 2016. Make sure you're not paying a debt that is in default. Not saying that you are, but just make sure you're not paying something that's in default. And if it's been on this since 2016, that means that they're getting some interest off of you. They've gotten some interest off of you. That's another thing. If you've been paying, go ahead, June.
So I'm reading that question. So now the question that I have is the 630 in collections?
It's in default collection.
See, if the 630 is in collections and default, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. If your 630 is in collections and is in default and it's been on your credit report since 2016, so we're looking at, that's 5 years. Here's what y'all don't want to know what I'm gonna say. That's 5 years. So it's been a long time. You got 2 more years and that thing gonna roll off. So in that particular situation, my answer is no. Don't pay it. Okay, so she says it's in collections.
Yeah, don't mess with it.
Don't even touch it. Take that 630 and go do something else with it. Rebuild somewhere else. Because the older that the debt becomes, even if it's in collection, the older that it becomes, the less it weighs on your credit report. And if it's been that long, you got 2 more years before that rolls off of your credit. Depending on what state you live in, you have to. The state has. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. But there's so many years.
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitation. Thank you, sir. Your state, depending on your state, look up the statutes of limitation. If you're past the statutes of limitation, what that just basically means is that, let's just say in your state, the statutes of limitation is 5 years. Well, you've already hit the 5-year mark. So here's what that means. If you don't pay that collection, they can't come and sue you because you're past the state's statutes of limitation. So why pay that debt $630 if you're past the statutes of limitation? They can't sue you. They can keep it on your credit, but they can't sue you. You got 2 more years and it rolls off. That $630 could be used somewhere else. That's what I'm saying.
And just so the audience knows, she said that money's going to her neighbor federal account. Good. Just so the audience knows, we're just here to educate. We're not here to help you to repair your credit. That's another conversation. Okay. We have access to tools and information that can actually put you in the right situation. If you're involved with what we're doing, of course, you already have access to the information, but we don't pay collections, y'all. We don't pay collections because, see, I borrowed money from June. I want y'all to understand this, and I'm a very simple guy. I borrowed $10,000 from June. I couldn't pay the money back, so I stopped paying. Miss Bertha came along and she said, June said, hey, listen, Eric ain't paying me. So June went to court, did what he had to do, and he wrote that off. He wrote that expense off. He got his credit. He got everything for that actual $10,000. So he got credit for that. Here comes Miss Bertha, because Miss Bertha's a shark. She's around here looking here, buying up all types of collections. And she said, hey, June, I see you got $10,000 out there. Hey, man, listen, I'll give you 25 cents on the dollar. Am I close? Am I in there? I'll give you 25 cents on the dollar. And she goes and buys that collection, 25 cents on the dollar, slides him $2,500. He wins twice. In so many words. I may be out of order, but that's pretty much how it goes. Then Miss Bertha comes and say, hey, Eric, you owe me $10,000. Miss Bertha, I ain't borrowed no money from you. I borrowed the money from June. Mm-hmm. And since June sold it to you, I don't owe you. We don't pay collections, y'all.
Come on now.
Don't do that.
Hey, Eric, she says she's in the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
The state of Maryland statute of limitation is 3 years.
Man, you good.
So she's already passed the statute of limitation. There is no reason whatsoever if a creditor calls you. Now, they may give you a call as you get closer to the 7-year point for it to roll off and try to scare you or whatever. But at this point, there's just literally no reason for you to pay that because you're past the statute of limitation and you're within 2 years of it rolling off your credit report anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Hey, brother Sherrod, you're right. We don't. He jumped on a little while ago. We don't. No, we don't. We don't pay collections. And listen, I want everyone to understand. This is the reason why we're doing this. We want to get some eyes on this information because a lot of people really don't understand. As June said, as we get close to them, she said on call my Avenue number. But I want you to understand something. They have a way of finding you.
Yeah, they will.
But what you don't want to do is get on the phone and start spilling your guts.
Yeah. And
saying, hey, yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
If they call you by your full name, you already know what time it is. My mama knows my name, so she's not gonna say it's this Eric McKinley. She ain't gonna do that. You know you got some issues, and not talking about you specifically, Ms. Evans, but you know that we know there's some issues out there. Stop picking up the phone all willy-nilly saying, hey, yeah, this me, yeah, this is where I live, yeah, this is my social. Don't do that. Because what you're doing is allowing them to start over again.
Yeah.
And they start that clock over again. And we get so close. We're not here to tell you to do anything incorrect or improper. And we got to move on. But listen, we're gonna have some more of this information. I'm glad you got this dialogue, man. We got some good dialogue tonight. Let me go ahead and get this screen back up. She said she got a new number. Got a new number. And Latrika said they playing Sam Sausage Head. Okay, I'm not messing with y'all. Okay. All right, let me go back and slide up.
Hey, Eric, I'm gonna tell you something real quick as you bringing the slide up, man. Way back when I had a Google Voice number, and what Google would let you do is when certain numbers come in, you could automatically direct it to a unique voice number or voicemail for that number. So when my creditors would call, I'd see that number. And I programmed my Google Voice to go automatically into a voicemail box.
Yep.
The voicemail box would say, the number you have just dialed is out of service.
Hey, I'm telling you gotta be smarter than them guys, man. I'm telling you. You know, but at the end of this, we're gonna breeze through this. But at the end of this, I'm gonna show y'all the scripture that talks about we'll talk about. I'm gonna show y'all something, but anyway, here's the breakdown. This is what FICO looks at. Okay, we did all this already. Let me go ahead and here credit history. Here's a solution. If you have no credit history, here's a solution. Authorized user. Okay, now check this out. Be very, very careful about this. Find a responsible relative or a friend with good credit card history and a low credit card balance. Or maybe none. All right. Debt to income ratio, low. They can't be shaky. Okay. They got to be solid. We're looking for solid people. And you want to ask them to be added to their account as an authorized user. You don't want that credit card. You just want the history. You want the history. Okay. That's a solution. Real simple. Also, and I'm going to run through this. If you are renting, you can actually have your positive rental history added to your credit history. If you've ever been renting, you can get the last 2 years added. Okay. And guys, listen, I want y'all to understand, you gotta take your credit seriously. Got to take your credit seriously. So day one action step was to create a Credit Karma account and just look at your information. Day two was to for credit utilization was to organize all your bills from smallest to largest, and because we're going to talking about a debt snowball, and to actually find ways to increase your cash flow, minimize your expenses so you can get more money to pay that debt off, so your credit utilization can go down and your score can go up. Day three, guys, here it is. Ask a family member or a friend. Ask a family member or a friend if this is you and you need to do this with the credit card that has a long positive time positive history payment, if they can add you as an authorized user. Now, I've talked to several of my associates, and a couple of them worked, and I had to break it down to them, because you're going to get grandma, you're going to get your aunt, you're going to get your mom and your dad. I'm like, heck no, I ain't doing that. You can't take care of your own affairs. You're not getting on mine, because they're thinking that you're going to contaminate their credit. Well, you're not. You don't want the credit card. And if they don't want to do it, or if they're shaky about it, just ask them this. Listen, I'm in the process of improving my credit, repairing, building, and maintaining it. And I just need to borrow your history for about 90 days. Give me 90 days and I'll do what I need to do. If at the end of 90 days, you haven't done what you need to do, they need to take you off. That's one of the things I explained to them. Okay. Make sure it has a low credit utilization. And like I said, if you're a renter, you can contact your landlord, or you can actually go to some rental sites. I'm not going to put those up. You can go to some rental sites and you can actually you can Google it. All right. Google these rental sites, rental reporting agencies, and you can actually go through there. There's also some affiliate programs. I found some affiliate programs. If you're a credit repair or credit education specialist, there's some affiliate programs you can go through that can actually help your clients, rent reporters and things like that. So now this is what I want to share with y'all. And I always got something special and something hot. So I want y'all to understand something. This is only, Miss Bertha, this is only for believers.
Okay.
It's only for believers. Now, this might cause you to believe. I don't know. This might cause you to believe, but this is only for believers.
I hope so.
And I want people to understand something. That a lot of people don't understand what it is I'm about to do and why I do it, but I do it for the people.
Mm-hmm.
I do it for the people. I'm sitting around just thinking about ways I can actually, how can I actually help people get to another level? How can I do it? Well, I don't know. But then it comes to me.
Yeah.
Everybody's not a researcher. Everybody ain't a researcher, Ms. Burke.
Nope.
So because they ain't a researcher, sometimes you just need a little nudge, right?
That's right.
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of vague.
I'm gonna break it down so they can understand, Ms. Burke.
Okay.
The year for canceling debts.
Wow.
Now I want y'all to understand something. I am by no means telling you to go out there and file bankruptcy. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna say this: sometimes it needs to be done.
Yeah.
At the end of every 7 years, you must cancel debts.
That's what the word says.
This is how it is to be done. Now, this is the NIV. I learned this in the King James.
Yeah, me too.
All right, but I want to read this so everybody can understand, because you may not be you may not be a avid reader, avid Bible reader. Okay. Every creditor shall cancel any loan they have made to a fellow Israelite. They should not require payment from anyone among their own people, because the Lord's time, it's just the Lord's time for canceling debts has been proclaimed. You may require payment from a foreigner, but guess what? If I'm your brother, I'm gonna take this off. You better pay me. So check this out. At the end of every 7 years, that's what the word says. And I want everyone to understand this. Okay, I'm not telling you to go out there and file bankruptcy. I'm gonna say sometimes it gets hard, and sometimes we get a little bit over our head. Okay, there's no shame in doing that. But I'm gonna say this because I don't want to get into any trouble with anybody. Well, I don't get nobody in trouble. Ain't nobody. I'm gonna do my thing. Look, before you even consider that, even if you file bankruptcy and your mind ain't in the right frame, it ain't gonna even matter. I'm gonna tell you from experience. Let's be transparent, Eric. At age 23, I filed bankruptcy. I got over my head. First marriage, had a lot of expenses. Took on another person. They had some medical issues, and me and my former wife at the time, we fell in over our heads. And I filed bankruptcy. We filed bankruptcy, but that didn't do no good because almost 20 years later, I was still dealing with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go out there and file bankruptcy just to get a clean slate.
Yeah.
That might be your only option, but make sure your mind is in the right frame. What we do is we teach financial education. We teach mentality. If your credit is jacked up, if it's tore from the flow up, it didn't get there overnight. And if you have a bad habit of just putting money in places where it doesn't belong, and you go out there and you get access to more money, guess what you're gonna have? More problems. So we have to educate ourselves on how to actually manage our finances. Credit is a very important part of our finances, but it ain't the only part. It ain't the only part. As a lot of people think it's the most important part, but it ain't the only part. It's not. We have to have a very good understanding of how money works. One of the things that we got to understand, and I'm gonna pass this thing over to Ms. Bertha in a minute so she can give her final remarks, is that if you are being taught anything that may be beneficial to you by an oppressor, then it's that oppressor's job to omit important things. I'm just going to say that. All right. I'm gonna leave that one alone, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it in there. And I don't mean more money, more problems, Miss Evans. I'm talking about the more money you have and the less financial education you have, then the more problems you're going to have. Miss Bertha, what you got for them on the way out?
I just want to say, education is powerful, but you got to apply you have to apply the education. And everything that we are teaching you is based on the Bible. I mean, everything that we're teaching about lending and borrowing, the Bible tells us that the borrower is slave to the lender. It tells us not to co-sign. I mean, all these things that we're teaching you is based on biblical principles. And therefore, we have to follow God's principle. They never change. So you could take it as natural or biblical or laws, or, you could take it either way. But everything we are teaching you are facts. They are facts and they are principles. And God has to honor those principles. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or non-Christian. The principles work. And so I'm just encouraging you to, you could do further research, but we all have gone through all of this credit repair, and we have the credit repair guru right down there looking at you. He prepared it, and I commend him because he did such a marvelous job. I mean, years ago, I never knew none of this stuff, and when I came across it and started applying the principles and the strategies, it made such a difference in my life. And all of the associates that are involved in this company can tell you the same thing. So somebody else might tell you in a different way, but they're still telling you the same thing. You may have the NIV Bible, you may have the NASB. It changed the words, but it doesn't change the doctrine or the principle. The word stands. It don't need no revelation if the Bible is there and it's plain, So we're just saying that we're not trying to make you Christians, but we're just trying to let you know that it is Bible based. And I would encourage you to, read your Bible, look up some of these scriptures. They're in the Bible. Everything we're saying is in the Bible. And so someone, thought enough of us, God gave him the plan, and he put it in action based on the Bible. Mr. Ivy Stokes, who started this company, he started it on the Word of God. So if you base your life and principles on the Word of God, if you open up a business and you put God first, God's going to honor his word. He's going to honor his principles. So that's why my econ is so prosperous, because it's based on the Word of God, and God can't deny his word. So we just want to encourage you to, follow the education and apply it, because it does work. That's all I have to say.
All right. Hey, Mr. Carl, you go ahead and take us home, man.
Well, all I'm gonna just say is, we had a good discussion tonight, and we talked about those statutes of limitations. You can go out and Google your state statutes of limitation. It's going to tell you, and just so that you know, there's different lengths of statutes of limitations for different items. So in the state of Georgia, the statute of limitation is 4 years. And like I said, in the state of Maryland is 3 years. But again, if you do a Google search, you're going to find that assault is a 1 year statute of limitation. Fraud is 3 years. So you need to make sure that you go look specifically at what your statutes of limitations are. Doesn't mean that it's going to come off your credit within 3 years. It just means that they can't sue you in that time frame. And so you don't have to worry about a lawsuit if it's been past that 3 year mark. Now, if it's been past that 3 year mark, now I would say go challenge the debt. Now's your time to start challenging the debt, because they can't really do anything about a lawsuit or anything of that nature. The other thing is because it's only $600, they're probably not going to do a lawsuit anyway because of the expense that it requires for them to even file a civil lawsuit. So they file a civil lawsuit. It may cost them $200, $300 to get a lawyer, and it's just not worth it. So definitely speak with people that know how this stuff works. And I think that was a great question today, because now you can take that $600 and redirect it somewhere else that's going to serve you better.
Yep.
So we're at the top of the hour, and I appreciate everybody for participating in this training. Thank you, panel, for coming on. I know y'all got stuff y'all got to do. We all got full lives. So if you see my eyes, my wife been keeping me busy, man. She got me here. She got me here hostage in this office again, man. But we're getting a lot of stuff done, and being able to actually share this information with the public, I think it means a lot. It means a lot because whether they see it live or whether they go back and look at it, whether they have opportunity to apply some of the things, and just know that you can reach out to us, reach out to me, reach out to Ms. Bertha, Mr. Collier, and actually get in the position to start getting your finances in order. I'll just say it like that, okay? There's a lot of things that we do. One of them is credit, but the other thing is we basically help you to fix your entire finances, put you on the right track. You got to say it's a mindset thing, but you got to understand something. Everybody ain't ready.
That's true.
Everybody ain't ready.
Yeah.
I got people reaching out to me from 2016, 17 that's saying, hey,
yeah,
I want to come back. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, ain't nothing wrong with that, because what they're doing is, and I want you to understand something, you have to be the best version of you that you can be.
Yeah.
And as people see you not going backwards, but steadily propelling forward and getting better and better and staying on the straight and narrow and staying focused, they're going to want to say, hey, you know what? They're going to be wishing that they had stayed in touch. They're going to be wishing that they kept up and stayed. Because listen, it's the best time to get started was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The next best time is right now.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, I'll be 48 in October. You don't want to be 48 telling your story about, hey, 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We jumped on this information as soon as we got a hold of it. But there's some people out there who hear this on a regular basis and they just ain't ready.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But I'm going to leave this with you. If keeping more of your money, if learning how to improve your personal finances, if being able to educate yourself, your family, your children, your grandchildren, if being able to, as a man, I'm talking to the men now, if as a man being able to lead your family, not just be the head of the house, but be the head of the household, being able to make financial decisions that make sense, and having your woman, your wife follow you, if that makes sense to you, if that makes you feel good, you need to go ahead and get started. Because ain't nothing better than having your wife, your woman, your girl, your ride or live believe in you because you've made a change. And the same thing with the women. You may be the one that's taking charge. You want to make sure that you are doing the right thing. People are looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
We have influence. Everybody in the world is an influencer. The question is, what are you influencing people to do? What is it that you're influencing people to do? This is a very simple process. Improve your own personal finances. That's it.
Invite him to the Super Saturday tomorrow.
Yeah. No, you got to join this business. You ain't got no account. You can't. Right. I ain't even sharing this one. So if you want to get involved in what we're doing, you got some place. Now you can get on our Super Saturday.
I thought I would throw that out.
Yeah, well, they got to have a membership. You see, Access has its privileges. So But seriously, if you want to know more about what we're doing, stay connected to this page. You got me tripped up, Miss Burke. I don't want y'all to feel. I don't want y'all to feel.
Membership is important.
But memberships are important, and this is a financial education opportunity that you can actually do. If not, you ain't ready. Keep watching. Yeah. We got some more jewels and some more nuggets to drop down for you. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, if what you're doing right now ain't getting you where you want to be, you might be going in the wrong direction. That's all I got, man. Hey, my name is Eric McKinley. We got Miss Bertha Winston. She slick slid me one just now. She's out the DMV area. We got Mr. June call you out to Atlanta, Georgia area. And yours truly, Eric McKinley, Director of Program Development of National Business Builders, coming out of Columbia, South Carolina. Like I always say, when you know better, that's when you have the ability to do better. And the only knowledge that's powerful is properly applied knowledge. We will see you on tomorrow at Super Saturday if you got a account, if you have a membership. But if we don't see you tomorrow, we'll see you at the top.
Because there's too many people struggling at the bottom.
Hey, y'all have a good weekend. Have a good evening. And thank y'all. We appreciate it. Hope y'all got
I will see you members tomorrow.
Y'all members tomorrow. Y'all take care. All right. Thank y'all.
Good night.
Good night.